So I have some explaining to do, okay? Recently on my community post, I did the power rankings for all 30 MLB teams heading into this year, where I thought they ranked from number 30 being the worst to number 1 being the best. And some people had some questions, and I get it too, me just kind of posting what number I think these teams are at without any explanation is just, well, let's just say can be confusing to some people as to why I put some teams where I did. And I'm just going to go through some comments, and I'm not necessarily going to be calling out these people, just sort of answering the questions that they want answered. As one guy asked me why I put the Atlanta Braves at 19 when they're ranked second in most and everywhere, but I looked that up and their lineup is ranked the second best in baseball from power rankings, not the team itself. But the reason I have the Atlanta Braves sitting at 19 in the power rankings is because their depth and age and injury problems kind of concern me heading into this season. I mean, they've already lost Spencer Schwellenbach and Hurston Waldrep for a long period of time, meaning that you're going to have to get a young Grant Holmes in there, along with Bryce Elder, who's literally been one of the worst pitchers in the league the last 2 years, while also having injury-plagued guys like Chris Sale and Reynaldo Lopez near the top of the rotation. While Spencer Strider did come back last year, he saw his velocity go down a couple of ticks, and it affected the way he performed. Plus, some of the other options like Martin Perez and Carlos Carrasco, who are on the team, are just old at this point. And you also have an injury to Hae-Sung Kim, who was supposed to be your shortstop from a freak injury. And then not to mention your left fielder, or supposed starting left fielder DH, Jerickson Profar. He just got suspended again for PEDs, meaning that he is out for the whole season, including the postseason if you were to make it there. And even at that, your right fielder, Ronald Acuna Jr., who is really good, also has injury problems. Because, I mean, looking at it last year, the Braves were projected to finish pretty high, and yet they won 76 games because of these injuries, and they really didn't fully make up for it. They didn't do anything in the rotation when they probably should have. Now, is there time to do that with guys like Lucas Giolito and Zach Littell still out there and a couple others? Yeah, but at the same point in time, they haven't done it. And sure, they've done things offensively, like bringing in Jonah Heim as backup catcher depth, Jorge Mateo and Mike Yastrzemski, but that's been about it for them. They did bring in Robert Suarez and re-sign Jose Iglesias, too, to be in the back end of the bullpen. But the question is, I just don't know if the health of this team can hold up for a full season to where I can say they can be one of the best. So that is my concern. That really is my concern with the team. The same person also wondered why I had the Athletics, I almost said Oakland Athletics, but they're just the Athletics right now, at 25 out of 30, because they have a top 5 lineup in baseball. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have success when you have a top 5 lineup in baseball, but one of the worst pitching staffs. It's not terrible per se, but when your ace is Luis Severino, you have a pitching problem, because Luis Severino should be your number 2 at most, maybe your number 3 or number 4, but with him and Jeffrey Springs being the 1-2, and your only big addition to the rotation was adding Aaron Savali, who's probably going to go toward the bottom of the rotation, because there are 2 youngsters, Jacob Lopez and I can't remember the other guy's name, it was Luis something. They have a high upside to them, I get that too, but again, since they're inexperienced, haven't pitched as many innings, you gotta worry, is fatigue going to kick in at some point during the season? And their bullpen's not really much better, so that's why I have the Athletics at 25, because I love their lineup, I love the guys that they have in it, but they didn't do enough in the pitching sense for me to go, oh, this team is improved and ready to finish with a winning record, although they could be a sneaky, 5-6 seed wild card team. It's just the other teams that are in their division, like the Mariners, continue to improve upon their team. The Texas Rangers, I think, have done more than people realize, put together one of the better rotations in the game. And even the Houston Astros, although we're kind of on the downslope, I don't think they're terrible enough to where they're still out of, the playoff contention. So the Athletics, to me, are still the fourth best team in that division. They're only better than the Angels because the Angels will be the Angels, but, that's why I have the Athletics at 25. This guy was a little bit more aggressive about it, but this guy here, Obscure Balls, which, pause, I watch this guy's channel because he posts, like, obscure baseball stuff, like stuff you'd never think of. Sometimes it can be, like, really, back from, like, the 70s, 80s, all this, and I didn't even know he watched my videos or even paid attention to my channel, so that's really cool. But he asked why I have the Phillies at number 11, basically being outside of the top 10, and he politely asked me what is stopping them from being a top 10 team heading into this year. And, well, it's weird because I still think the Phillies are going to be good, but somehow I think they're getting worse, if you catch my drift. I mean, yeah, bringing back Kyle Schwarber was huge for them, but their lineup is so unusual because they still have Bryce Harper, who's only 33 years old, but we all know his health issues with staying healthy and whatnot, and he still plays well, but at the same point in time, too, it's just like time is running out on that. Plus, they got guys like Alec Boehm and Bryson Stott, who can be solid at times, but are very, very inconsistent. Trey Turner's a little bit older, and, I mean, he's still playing well, but at the same point in time, he's only getting older. And then they re-signed JT Realmuto when they didn't really want to. They wanted Bo Bichette, but when the Mets outbid them for it, they just kind of brought JT Realmuto back to say, hey, we did something, and it's obvious that Realmuto is on a decline. He wasn't horrible last year, but he's getting to that point where it could be happening very soon, and the fact that it was a 3-year deal was kind of confusing, but, that's just the Phillies. And plus, they know Zach Wheeler's going to be out for a good portion of the season, at least the first half, and yet they didn't do anything in the starting rotation to at least give them a guy that they can plug in at the number 3, number 4 to help that rotation stay steady. I mean, yeah, you got Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo at the number 1, number 2. I think they're going to be fine there. But Aaron Nola had a bad year last year, and the question is he going to be able to rebound from that, or is it too late for him? You got Taijuan Walker now pitching, pretty important innings, and he has been great for them. And then you got a young Andrew Painter, who's probably going to be the number 5 guy in the rotation, who obviously has never pitched in the big leagues before, or if he has, it's been out of the bullpen mainly. So I don't trust the Phillies in that sense because they're going to be relying heavily on Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo and just hope that the other 3 are just okay-ish. Like, I don't know. Like, their bullpen is heavily improved. Do not get me wrong, I think one of their weaknesses that's been going on for a while was the bullpen, but they, have kind of revamped that. I mean, having Johan Duran as a closer, adding Tanner Banks, already having Orion Kerkering and Jose Alvarado, I think they've really done a good job making that bullpen good again, but that's about the only thing I can say I'm not fully scared of with the Phillies, because they also signed Adolis Garcia to a 1-year contract, which, yeah, I mean, he was a World Series hero just, 3 years ago when the Texas Rangers won their first World Series title, but the thing is, ever since that World Series title, his hitting has gotten worse. I mean, sure, he hit .245 the year they won the World Series, but he had 39 home runs, over 100 RBIs, and was an all-star. Now he's just kind of been mediocre at best, plus his defense in the outfield isn't that great. So, it was a decent enough move by the Phillies, but I don't think it's instantly going to, make this offense better. Their outfield just looks so completely weird. I hate using the term running it back, but the Phillies are like, oh, well, we brought back JT and Kyle Schwarber, and sure, we did bring in a guy like Adolis Garcia, and even Brad Keller, I think, is a very underrated addition to the team. But this core of players hasn't won anything together in close to like 5, I think we're approaching 5 or 6 years at this time. Sure, they went to the World Series in 2022, at least when they had Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola at the time, and Ranger Suarez, who's now no longer with the team. But a change has to be made, and I think they should have went more with the Mets approach, where it's like, okay, this is our franchise guy, we're going to build around him, let some other people go that may be hard to let go of, but, we're going to go out there, we're going to make the moves necessary that we need to maybe make a core of players that can actually go out and win, because it's kind of ironic that the year that Bryce Harper signed with the Phillies in 2019, the Washington Nationals went on to win the World Series. It's just The Phillies are a team that I wouldn't be shocked if they made the playoffs or even won the NL East. But yeah, that's my explanation for that. I probably should have been more open about it, and I understand it's not necessarily a big deal, but it's not that I just randomized these rankings. Obviously, the Nationals and Rockies I knew would be 29 and 30. I did have to think hard as to, okay, but who would be 30 and who would be 29? I was strategic with it. I thought it over, and I was like, do these teams deserve to be here? Like, I'm surprised they're not asking me why I put the Brewers at 20. And it's because, yeah, they always surprise, but you'd figure the team that finished with the best record in baseball last year would be inside the top 10, but they've done so much weird things that I was like, number 20 seems fitting because I don't think they're one of the worst, but I just don't know if they can continue replicating what they're doing on a consistent basis when they're constantly letting go and trading people. You can tell me in the comments below, what do your power rankings look like? Or if you don't want to give me the whole power rankings, who do you think is going to be the worst team in baseball? And where would you have some of the teams ranked that I talked about that maybe you have them ranked differently? Mostly probably higher than I do because, again, we're prone to disagree. That's fine. Your opinion is going to be different from mine. I'm not trying to get you to sway your opinion. I'm just here to explain myself. But until then, stay safe out there, and I will catch you all in the next one.